All right, I got Dr. Yug Varma on the show today. He's a PhD and the co-founder and CEO of Phyla, the world's most advanced probiotic acne system. Dr. Varma, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey Joe, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm excited to get into things with you. You know, when you go to the website Phyla, it says on the website right away, 90% reduction in acne for cystic acne and hormonal acne. How the heck is that possible? And the reason I ask you that is I have a big background in holistic health. I've had other practitioners on the show talking about gut health. Matter of fact, I had a guy on the show talking about acne. He wrote an entire book on it. Very high level Czech practitioner who understands health at a high level. And everything he did was never from a topical cream. It wasn't from anything that you would put topically over the skin. The way he healed most people was their insulin levels were off, their glucose levels were off. And if it wasn't that, it was probably, there's multiple things, but it was probably either heavy metals or gut dysbiosis. But from my understanding, you're not doing any of that. You're fixing radical issues with the cystic and hormonal acne are not easy things to fix. And you're fixing that just with this probiotic serum or cream, if you will, that you put on topically, correct?
Yeah. I mean, um, the first thing about if you want to go about hitting a target, right? You want to know what it looks like, right? And in acne, that can be pretty difficult because acne is such a complex, multifactorial disease. All the things you mentioned, right, can have an impingement on the condition. There's skin issues, there's gut issues, there can even be systemic issues. But if you were able to find what is the root cause of acne, right? And if there's only one root cause, then you can say, oh, okay, now I have a target to aim at, and now I can develop ways to treat it or ways to attack it that are, more targeted and more sophisticated. And the benefit of that, by the way, is that you can eliminate all the off-target effects, right? And so things like all of our side effects that we get with acne medications, everything from redness, dryness, irritation. If you're taking systemic antibiotics, that's a lot of gut dysbiosis, retinoids, it's horrific, right? Liver damage, bone density loss, birth defects, depression, suicide, all of those things. So you can eliminate all of that if you know the target where you have to aim. Now, although acne is a complex multifactorial disease, the target is the root cause. The whole thing that drives acne is C-acnes, a bacteria that grows on our skin. It's called Cutibacterium acnes. It's been known to be associated with acne for about 80, 90 years now. And so we understand it very well. But what recent microbiome research has shown is that there are, molecular pathways and there are exact sort of ways in which this bacteria is central to whatever happens in acne. And so what we've been able to do, and the reason we get such great results, and by the way, that 90% number is actually 90% of bacteria. So it can lead to a reduction of up to 90% of the acne bacteria. But the results aren't that much far behind. And the way we do it and the way we achieve such impressive results without side effects, without collateral damage, which almost sounds too good to be true, is by focusing on just the target and nothing else.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And, you think about it, the skin is the largest organ, right, of the entire
Mm-hmm.
body. And
Yep.
so I would imagine too, if you start to affect the outer layer of the skin, and I don't know if you have studies to back this up, I have no idea. But if you start to affect the outer membrane, if you will, the outer layer, the skin, there has to be a correlation that not only affects the nervous system, the brain, but I would imagine even the actual gut microbiome probably changes based on the perception that the body is the input that the body is receiving. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the benefits of treating acne where it is, and thankfully the source of acne is right there, is that you can prevent systemic exposure to your product, right? You can prevent things from having to circulate where they don't work or don't need to function. And that actually is a benefit of our approach, which is where we know what the root cause is, we know where it is, we attack it where it is. And so there's less infiltration of our product into your body, which may or may not react adversely to it, but it's just got less stuff to deal with and stuff that is not useful to it. And so that's kind of our hypothesis, but also our ethos, which is that, be minimalist, be highly effective, but don't give people or ask people to put stuff in their bodies that they don't need or that goes places where it would have no effect.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm thinking though too is if let's say someone has candida yeast overgrowth in their gut, and part of the expression, the manifestation is acne on the skin, right? That's what it looks like on the exterior. I'm wondering if by using your probiotic serums and the creams, if you will, if we see a reduction later in the gut microbiome of candida. Like, I don't know. I'm wondering if we've seen it.
We haven't studied that. I mean, that would be interesting. But yeah, we haven't studied that.
Yeah. Let's Tarantino this. I just jumped right into things and I had to ask you that question right off the bat. It was just burning in my head. How did you get started in this work? Like, was there a day that you realized, like, holy cow, like we have an opportunity to like really change the world here? How did you get started? Was it a pain to purpose story or what?
It wasn't exactly a pain to purpose story. So my background is I'm a scientist. I got my PhD at Johns Hopkins. I did a postdoc at UCSF and generally spent over a decade in academia. And then I jumped into Phyla, starting this company. And what we are is really, we're not a consumer health or a skincare company. We're actually a biotech company that's working in these areas. So with my science background, I was very interested in developing this technology, Phage technology, that's kind of underpins our products. And I was really looking for a great first sort of use case or indication to establish the fact that A, the technology works, B, we can make a product with it, and C, it is so compelling and efficacious that hopefully, and we've started to see this now, people buy it, love it, use it, and look at it and say, wow, this works for acne. I wonder if you can use the same thing or use the same approach for eczema, rosacea, blah, 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 right? And so the whole idea is to kind of spark this interest and awareness of phage technology, which is a very powerful technology. Now, this technology essentially kills bad bacteria, but without hurting any other off-target bacteria. So there are a lot of good bacteria in our body, right? And your listeners are probably very familiar with this as the microbiome, the community of bacteria, viruses, fungi that live in our body, 99% of which are benign, but actually not just benign, but they actually have a pro-health benefit. You need them in your body. They train your body, everything from your immune system to your digestive system to your nervous system to function normally. And if it's absent or if it's imbalanced, then you suffer the consequences, and it's usually in the form of chronic diseases. So there are a lot of chronic diseases caused by bacteria that could be addressed by our technology. The reason we started with acne was acne is a nearly universal condition, right? 85% of us or more get acne at some point in our life. It's also not just a skin issue, it's a mental health issue. There was actually a study out of the UK a few years ago that said that people with acne are 63%, so almost 2/3 as more likely to have mental health issues than someone who doesn't have acne. So that's, substantial. And as you can imagine, acne affects most of us at our teenage lives when we're trying to figure out who we are, trying to figure out what our interests are, who our friends are, and then suddenly this thing attacks your face, which you can't hide it. You have to face up to it every day in the morning. You're always wondering when people see you, do they just see the acne or do they see the person under you? So I saw acne as a very serious condition, but also one where you can have immediate impact. People are so motivated to get rid of this problem. You can build a product that gets them to that solution. And obviously in an unmet need like acne, which is so acute because the last novel acne drug was approved over 40 years ago. And so what happens is a lot of parents are looking for solutions for their kids, and they're like, oh, since I was a kid and I hated all the acne medication I got, surely we've improved by leaps and bounds because I'm hearing all the science and the microbiome and blah, blah, blah. They come into it and they're so disappointed because literally the same products, the same molecules that they had to struggle to use and hated to put on are the same things that they're going to have to pass on to their kids. And a lot of our customers who are parents come to us and say, look, I've tried everything. The derm says my kid has to have Accutane. I'm pretty much absolutely not. So, like, I need this to work. I need you to tell me that this works. And then we help them through it. And so these are just some of the motivations. It's not like a path to purpose specifically, but I think there's a huge amount of emotion that we tapped into, a huge amount of unmet need, and something that people were looking for. But obviously, everyone not being a scientist or a technologist was like, oh, I'll develop the solution. So we're developing this on all of their behalves.
And Dr. Varma, isn't Accutane like one of the worst things you can only not only do for the skin, but the hormones and the actual body?
It's one of the best and one of the worst in the sense that it's one of the best things, most effective things for acne, right? And that's why it's often used as something of last resort. So usually you go to a dermatologist, they have a ladder of treatment. They'll start you off on something mild that doesn't damage your skin. Hopefully that'll work. If that doesn't work, they go on to the next thing, and then medication gets stronger. Accutane's at the bottom of that ladder. And what that means is, although it can be very effective, and of course for people with very severe extreme acne, it can be life changing. The side effects are nothing to sniff at, right? So you've got birth defects. So women on Accutane, mandatory on birth control, whether or not they're having sex, whether or not they're sexually active, whether or not the birth control messes with other systems in their body, it causes birth defects, and you cannot have that. Then you have to have blood work done once a month because it can crash your liver. And so they want to make sure your liver enzymes are, not out of whack. It can cause bone density loss, joint pain, and even risk of depression and suicide, to a point where I think this was over a decade ago, a congressperson or senator's son had committed suicide when he was on Accutane, and it was because of the depressive effects, and there was a congressional hearing. So it was a big to-do. And this only goes to show me how motivated people with acne are, because they are willing to take not just this drug, but multiple rounds of it often to get rid of their acne.
Multiple rounds. I mean, people are on this for years, I would imagine. And to your point, I'm laughing because how often do we hear this stuff from big pharma? Safe and effective, but it might also have. And then, like in the background, you hear all the might cause every symptom known to man: suicide, depression, isolation, anxiety, every other bad thing. And no,
I love how they try to slip it under the rug, right? It's like the last 5 seconds of the 30-second commercial, and the guy's talking as fast as he possibly can to just like, don't pay attention, nothing to see here.
By the way, as they're still streaming an image of somebody laughing and having fun. So the image is still playing of happiness, but you're hearing in the background just this muted kind of like list of symptoms that might happen to you. So yeah. Wondering also how it actually works. You mentioned that it goes in and kills the bad bacteria. And, I've always, as a holistic health coach, I've always had this idea from learning from my mentors, how to actually help, let's say, rebalance the gut microbiome. I would go in there first and kill the bad bacteria and then repopulate it with good stuff. Now I've had other great leaders and people like yourself on the podcast who have kind of told me, we don't necessarily have to kill the bad bacteria, Joel, but what we do is we need to bring in more good bacteria to crowd out that bad bacteria. So how does it work exactly?
Both the approaches you mentioned are great, and it really, to my point, I've studied bacteria, infectious diseases, pathogenesis for a lot of my scientific career. And the answer for that is horses for courses, right? There are some bacteria that really shouldn't be in your gut at all, right? And we're talking about enteropathic E. coli, salmonella, all that the dangerous C. diff, all that dangerous stuff. And so when that happens, you kind of really just need to eradicate it. And sometimes that means cleaning house. It means just dropping like a bomb on your gut microbiome, like an antibiotic. And sometimes you have what's called a opportunistic pathogen, where it's a normal part of your microbiome, right? But when it overgrows, or when it gets a chance to kind of exploit a chink in your defense, then it'll barrel through and cause a lot of problems, right? And we see this in the case of a lot of dysbiotic conditions, like in the gut, that's IBS, IBD, and Crohn's, where there's not a clear, like, oh, you have a gut infection, it's this particular bacteria, we're going to get it. Or with skin, right? Like you have acne is a great example. And so both of those approaches, I think, are suitable for um, whichever condition you're looking at, and when you understand like what the underlying cause is. The beauty of our technologies is it does a bit of both. So we know that. Well, where do I start? All
And
right.
also, it does a little bit of both without the harmful effects of something like a retinol or something that absolutely just crushes the microbiome, I'm assuming, and the liver and all these other side effects.
Exactly. And so I think to deeply understand acne, it's best to go to the beginning, right? Like what causes acne? Why do we think, what evidence do we have that this bacteria overgrowth causes acne? So the bacteria that causes acne is C-acnes or Cutibacterium acnes, right? A couple of observations that we make about acne is first, you get it starting puberty, right? 4-year-olds don't get acne, 6-year-olds don't get acne, teenagers get acne, and then you have it. And the second thing is you get acne on your face, your upper chest, your neck, your back, right? You never get acne on your knee or your elbow or your forearm. So that those are really important clues. The reason you don't get acne when you're really young is because C-acnes, Cutibacterium acnes, is not part of your skin microbiome in a major way at all up until puberty. What happens during puberty is you get a hormonal flush, right? Tons of hormones in your body. What this does to your skin is it deepens your skin pores and it starts activating these sebaceous glands, which are oil glands, right? They produce oil in your body. So you're producing more oil, your pores are deeper. Now, C. acnes is on your face, it's on my face, it's on the face of every adult on earth, or starting from, when you're a teenager. Obviously, we all don't have raging cases of acne. And this is again a clue that this bacteria is meant to be on our skin, just not overgrow. And so people who have acne, their bacteria just overgrows, causing their immune system to kind of freak out, and then it sends inflammation to try to to rectify the problem. And that's acne. Acne is inflammation, right? So when you have now, let's look at the bacteria itself. The bacteria that causes acne is an anaerobic bacteria, which is ironic because your skin is the one organ that's flooded with oxygen, right? But the reason that it is attracted to your pores when you hit puberty is your pores get deeper. So now it can settle at the bottom of the pores, and whenever your pores get clogged, which is, by the way, the first step in acne pathogenesis, that creates an anaerobic environment. It creates a little bioreactor in your pore where your bacteria start to grow. They grow and they grow. And you know what the second thing is? It needs food. The one bacteria on your skin that is perfectly evolved to eat the sebum, the oil that you produce, is C. acnes. No other bacteria on your face does it better. And as a result, it comes to dominate your face to the point where I'm willing to bet that both you and I have 80% or more of all our bacteria on our face are C. acnes, right? That's a huge amount. And you think, oh my God, we should just be, our skin should be falling off with acne. But that's normal. But when you exceed that threshold, that's normal, and the C. acnes overgrow, your body detects it, it sends out inflammation, and that's exactly what happens during acne.
Amazing stuff. Thanks for breaking that down. Well, one of the things I was kind of alluding to early on in our conversation when we first jumped on is I was thinking about, because I said, hey, listen, if we can actually change the input that the body senses and feels, can that have a direct effect on overall inflammation in the body, maybe the gut microbiome, candida, or even just the nervous system, how it perceives stress? And I was looking for it on while you were talking. And are you familiar with the brain skin connection?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what I was thinking when you were speaking. Like, Dr. Varma, you have a real big opportunity, like you said, that there's new science. I don't know how new. I just learned about it from some other folks like yourself. But I would have never thought, like, hey, there's an actual connection here that we're seeing possibly with the brain and the skin. And so if you can change someone's skin, you can actually change their nervous system and the way they perceive stress. You can downregulate them. And isn't that a much better place for a kid who's already stressed out or going through these issues, or someone who's a high achiever who's trying to get jobs and stuff in their 20s, but they got all this acne on their face? Like, what a powerful way to relax the nervous system and bring it back into balance is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, so what you're referring to, just for your listeners, is the brain-skin axis, and it's thought of as a more generalized sense of the brain-skin-gut axis, right? Now, I'm sure you've talked about this with experts in your podcast before, but the brain-gut axis is really, we have a fairly mature understanding of it, even though obviously we're right at the beginning, we're learning a lot. But we know, for example, that there's a nerve that connects the gut to the brain that's thought to be sort of the super highway of information, which is the vagus nerve, right? And there have been some fascinating studies done where if you sever that nerve, then you produce certain effects that really point to the importance of that brain gut connection. We also know that a lot the nine what is it 90% of all the serotonin we produce in our body, which is a neurotransmitter, is in our gut, right? We don't know why. We don't know what effect it's having. And by the way, all of that serotonin, 100% of it, is being produced by gut bacteria. It's not coming from your liver or your intestinal linings or anything. It's the bacteria that are producing it. And so, actually, for my postdoc at UCSF, my work was to figure out molecular signals and molecular language that bacteria develop to talk to our immune system, right? To say, hey, I'm a good bacteria. I'm your friend. Hello, I live in your gut. I'm going to make all these things and keep you happy. I want you to be happy. Thanks for bringing food down the chute. Keep eating. Stay alive. And in return, what these molecular signals will do is they'll normalize things like your immune system, your immune homeostasis. The result of that is, we've had such a huge increase of allergies, asthma, all sorts of sensitizations, from skin sensitization to everything else, the chronic dysbiotic diseases. And a lot of that in the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years, it points to an overactive or imbalanced immune system. And a lot of that has to do with bacteria that we've lost in our gut or that are highly diminished that used to be there, make these happy molecules and keep us happy, right? So I've gone on this discursive kind of thing on the brain gut connection because we know so much about it. We know a lot less about the skin gut connection and the skin brain connection. And so far, for acne at least, there isn't really a link that we've uncovered. Of course, that's not to say that it doesn't exist, but the fact that we haven't uncovered it means that it's probably, if it exists, it's probably a more subtle and plays a smaller role. And we do know, for example, things like psoriasis have a much stronger skin gut connection. So we know we have a really, like, we haven't pinpointed what exactly is driving it, but we're like, there's a there there. There's definitely a connection. Now, you talked about the skin brain connection with acne, and improving acne, of course, has the immediate psychological benefit of it boosts your confidence, it makes you look good, you look good to yourself, right? And so you have that extra kind of confidence and stuff. And the flip side of it is, I remember this one customer of ours. She was like, my 14-year-old boy, he is such a sweet boy, has incredible like riz, as the kids would say nowadays. Has a lot of friends, a very outgoing, played soccer. He got acne and he just shut himself away in his room. He'd hate to go to school. He wouldn't even talk to his parents, wouldn't even get out of the room. And she was like, I don't even recognize this kid. Like, where's my sweet boy? So it's the kind of the hole that acne can put you in mentally is really kind of devastating. So there's that psychological aspect, right? Which is not really a skin brain kind of molecular connection. But one thing we are starting to investigate, by we, I mean us as a company, and I'm sure other people are looking at it too, is, as I said, in adults, C-acnes is about 80 to 90% of your skin bacteria, right? That's huge. And the fact that this one bacteria occupies so much space on your skin must mean something, must mean that it's sending signals, good and bad, right? And so what happens if you don't have acne, but you have inflammation of the skin, right? That could be blotchy skin or uneven skin tone or dull skin or whatever. The C-acnes burden is definitely playing a role in that. What role that is, we don't know yet. But if we can reduce it using our phage technology, what effects can it have beyond acne? So that is an absolute brain skin axis thing, because our brain, our skin, as you said, is our heaviest organ. It's our biggest organ. And the amount of inflammation that it throws off is unmatched by any other organ in our body. So if there's an inflammatory signal from our skin that maybe we're not detecting as acne or something, it almost certainly will have, of course, an immediate effect on your skin and the way it looks and feels, but also on your brain in the long term.
I would imagine, yeah, it'll be really fascinating because I've done a lot of work with the nervous system, and even you look at a physical therapist, they'll use modalities like scraping, for example. And a lot of people, some of that's to break up the tissue, but a lot of it is just giving the nervous system a new sense of where it is proprioceptively, and so that later when you leave the physical therapist, you actually go out and your nervous system sees it differently, in a sense, is the best way I would describe it. And so, yeah, I would be really curious to see. I'm also wondering, just to play devil's advocate for this type of cream, like what if someone does have heavy metals, candida, hormonal issues, they use the probiotic cream that you guys devised at Phyla, they get great results, the acne goes away, but they're still unaware of some of these other underlying health conditions that never went away. That's the one thing that I'd be curious about. Or, well, let's say if someone has a heavy metal toxicity issue and they're manifesting acne, will Phyla typically work even in that situation, or do you see like no, and then that's a good indicator, hey, you actually probably need to do some deeper level work because it isn't just from a topical standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, as a scientist, I'll say we haven't studied that, and I'm not aware of any data about that. So I'll say we don't know. But you're right. I mean, in the sense that if you have acne, right, and you use our product and it doesn't work, then absolutely there could be, and there probably is, a deeper issue. And to the point that, the factors that you mentioned, whether it's candida overgrowth, etc., um, may contribute to acne. Yes, if that problem is an underlying cause that you're not addressing, you know what I mean? Then if you don't address it and you address other stuff and your acne gets better, it may only be a temporary fix, right? So we don't want to have band-aids and patches. We want to solve the underlying cause, because that's really what leads to long.
Yeah. For you too, typically, how long do you see it take for someone to start seeing results? And then if they do start seeing results in as little as a month or a week, do they have to maintain that typically for a certain amount of time? Like what's the best case study that you've seen?
Yeah. So our clinical data showed that we get the best results for the most people in about 60 days, right? And of course, that's not a hard cutoff. It could be less than 60 days. It could be, 9, 10 weeks. And some of the reasons for that is, firstly, your skin microbiome resists changing, right? There are bacteria there that don't want to give up their real estate. They're like, why should I move? And you're trying to kill them, and they keep growing back. So it takes a while for your skin microbiome to adjust. And by the way, what you're doing with our technology, what you're doing with our technology is, not only are you killing the bad bacteria and kind of beating it back, but you're also giving the good bacteria space to expand, to grow, and become a bigger piece of the pie, right? And that's really important, because then with this technology, with our approach, you're building back a more resilient, more diverse microbiome. What that means is that, look, the number one experience of acne sufferers is relapses, right? You use benzoyl peroxide, you use whatever, right? You're using it, it's giving you good results, you're really upbeat, you're really optimistic. And then it stops working. And your acne comes back with a vengeance. You don't know what has gone wrong. You're really demoralized, right? You feel you're back at square one. What's happened is these harsh products have stripped your microbiome. This protective layer on your skin is now gone. So when you stop using it, right, because you can't be on antibiotics forever, and benzoyl peroxide is really irritating on your skin, you stop using it, and the weed, the C-acnes, grows right back. I think of it as, let's say you have a garden, you go out into the garden one day and you notice there's a weed on your lawn, right? What are you going to do? You're not going to pour gasoline over your lawn and set the whole thing on fire just to get rid of the weed. That's ridiculous. Instead, what you'll do is you'll look at that weed, you'll scoop it up, replace it with dirt, patch of grass, plant, whatever you want, and you're done, right? So all these products that we use for acne are like setting fire to your microbiome, and we use them every day. So you're setting fire to your microbiome every day. And instead, what you should be doing is scooping out that overgrowth, preventing it from growing back, have your garden grow back stronger, right? And support your microbiome for long-term skin health in that way. And so Phyla is really the only approach that does that.
Yeah, very cool. Talk to us about some of the products. I know there's several different products on the page. It's not just one type of cream. So can you kind of walk us through the different products and why people would choose one or the other?
Yeah, absolutely. So our we only sell 3 products. We're kind of a minimalist brand by ethos, and in our opinion, the fewer things you put on your skin that are like your skin really needs them, that they're really efficacious, the better. So we have a cleanser, we have a serum, and a moisturizer. The cleanser is really great. It's a gel cleanser. It is non-stripping, so it has salicylic acid and tea tree oil. They're really gentle. They're really good for your skin. The salicylic acid's role is to get into your pores, open them up so that the phage can dive right in. So we recommend you clean your skin of makeup or heavy dirt before that, then cleanse with the cleanser. The next is the serum that has the secret sauce, our live active phages, and when you apply that after cleansing your skin, the phages dive right into the pores and start working right away. Um, and then after that, the third piece that we have is moisturizer, which is formulated to support the phages and not kill them, but also is very light, non-greasy, and hydrates your skin without clogging your pores or making it super oily. So it's a really simple regimen. You can use it. You're supposed to use it twice a day for 60 days to see effects. But even beyond that, to maintain your microbiome, once you get your microbiome in balance, you got to keep it balanced. And so we recommend you use it for the long term, because unlike other harsh acne products that you cannot use over the long term, acne is a long-term indication. It's a long-term disease. You deal with it for years. You deserve a product that you can use for years and years.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And then with the idea, you mentioned the microbiome several times, and thinking about that, I know you guys do a lot of work, obviously topically, but is there any idea either A, in the future, of creating microbiome, like specific gut package, so that you're healing the inside as well as the outside, or a combination of both? Yeah, just curious. Or do you guys,
Oh,
I should say,
absolutely.
also see a role in probiotics for the gut microbiome as well as the skin microbiome?
Absolutely. Our technology can go everywhere you have a microbiome, right? Whether it's your skin, your oral microbiome, or your gut microbiome. And so right now we're focused on the skin. There are big conditions like acne, eczema, rosacea, etc. that, just like acne, are huge areas with unmet needs. Millions of people suffer from them, and yet we're still using the same stuff that we developed 30, 40, 50, sometimes 60 years ago, right? So my dream, my work, my life's work is to kind of continue to innovate in this space and ultimately reach the gut, hopefully, not too long from now, where we can say, and look, technologically, we're there. The pieces are there. Right now, we can take someone's stool sample and say, hey, this is what your microbiome looks like. And everyone's microbiome looks different, right? You're healthy, I'm healthy, but all of our microbiomes look different from each other, but where our microbiomes are in balance, right? So we can take like a baseline sample of, hey, you have a balanced microbiome. That's what it looks like. Anytime you have a dysbiosis, you just like ping us and send a sample, and we look at it, see what the balance ratio is, and compare it to your baseline, right? And then we say, oh, you may not feel like you have to go to a doctor because your gut is just exploding, but something's wrong. There's something in there, right? And so we help figure that out. And so I think that's kind of to me, that's kind of the final frontier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. That's gonna be really cool. Any big and you mentioned one earlier, but we've got a lot of issues here besides just cystic acne and hormonal acne. You mentioned psoriasis, rosacea. Any big testimonials that just scream out at you that you just remember that somebody started using Phyla and just a miracle, they would say, I can't believe this happened to me, Dr. Varma, and you're like, I can. But anything stand out for you?
Yeah, actually, we were actually going through reviews to put them on our website on the front page. And the ones we've selected on our homepage are great. But I want to say that we're getting close to 1,500 reviews of our product. We've been in the market for less than 3 years, and sometimes when I'm having a bad day or not feeling super motivated, I just head over to the reviews page and read some of them. Because the thing is, we're not just, I bought a product, I saw it on TikTok or I saw it on Instagram. It's like so many of these cases, and then the reviews that our customers generously share with us are life changing, right? They're like, oh my God, this is how acne made me feel, and this is who I am right now, right? And they as a person haven't changed, right? It's just that the acne has gotten out of their way so that they can enjoy life better. Or someone who said, oh my God, I've had acne for so many years. I've had this, that, and we actually looked at our reviews and tried to dimensionalize that. So we realized that a full quarter of all of our reviews, without us kind of asking them about it, mentioned that they had been on Accutane or antibiotics or this or that or the other, and that it hadn't worked and they had come to acne. This is surely a floor, not a ceiling, right? So far more people probably have gone through this experience of trying multiple things before they came to Phyla and it worked for them. But the fact that people are compelled to say this and compare, right, to our product is, I think, really powerful, because it shows that innovation stagnating in this important area of research has harmed people, right? And they're not getting the care that they deserve, and that they are now finding things that work for them, and look at the relief that they have. So I just hopped onto the website, and this one that I was reading this morning was, the title is, "It has made a massive
go ahead
difference."
and feel free to share your screen with us too, if you want. If you want.
Let me see if I can do that. Share. All right. Can you see this?
Yeah.
All right. So there are 3 panels here, and on the right-hand side, it says, "It has made a massive difference. I've been using Phyla for about a month now. It is 100% not overhyped at all. This stuff works. It has made a massive difference. I can tell my skin is healing." And in the case of acne, before afters are kind of our bread and butter, and they're hugely persuasive, right? Because you don't have to take my word for it. You see the results for yourself. And so, to me, the before afters say a lot, but just to see people's skin healing, to the fact that they can get on with the rest of their life, is just super rewarding.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff, man. And I didn't realize too, adult acne, I thought it was just a childhood thing, but it affects adults. I want to say, one of the guests, like I mentioned earlier in my podcast, it's like 70% of adults. It's an enormous number, or 50%. It's just like basically half anybody you run into on the street, you're probably going to see someone with it. And I didn't realize that it was such a problem for the majority of the population. So
yeah, acne affects women in their 20s at about a rate of 50%, and women in their 30s at a rate of 33%, 34%. So half of women in their 20s, a third of women in their 30s have it. And the numbers are similar but slightly lower for men. We think it's because of the cyclical hormonal component. The interesting thing is, acne hits most of us hard at our teenage years and then kind of slowly fades away, right? We don't know why that is. So there was a study done in 2016 that looked at people with healthy skin and acne skin, compared their microbiomes to try and figure out, is there a systemic bug that's causing the problem? They couldn't find any correlations except for one. They found that phages are very, very present on healthy skin, not present as much on acne skin at all. They're quite rare. The really interesting thing is, healthy people with 55 plus have more phages on their skin than anyone else. So what this means is, we all know annoying friends who have like perfect skin, never got acne, and are like, oh, I know what the big deal is. And you're cursing yourself. You're like, I have terrible luck. Chances are these people with clear skin have phages on their skin that are balancing their microbiome. But more importantly, the hypothesis is, as you go through life, you have different partners, your skin rubs up against other people's skin all the time. Those are all events where phages can kind of jump from healthy skin onto yours, and if they engraft, and by the way, like acne, people are like, oh, acne runs in my family. I have acne, my wife has acne, I'm sure my kids will have acne. Or people conversely are like, oh yeah, I never had acne and my daughter's like flawless skin. That has a component, right? Where the phages, like as you're raising your child, you have so much skin contact. If you have phages, you pass them on to your kids. If you don't, then your kids may not have it. But as you grow older, the chance that you'll acquire a phage is high. And that may be the reason why acne strongly decreases with age.
Wow. That's really, that's really interesting. Wow. Okay. Very cool. I want to start wrapping things up slowly, but I asked you already if there's any new products on the way, but besides just products, any other exciting projects that you guys are working on as a company and looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, we're actually really busy in the lab, and we're working on all kinds of crazy innovation, which is really exciting for me because I drive the science at Phyla. So one thing that we're doing is we're obviously always behind the scenes improving the product, right? And unlike, let's say a benzoyl peroxide cream, of which the market is flooded in, you can get your benzoyl peroxide and you can get it in small particle sizes and big particle sizes, but fundamentally it's just benzoyl peroxide. It's not going to change, right? You get it from a factory somewhere, you put it in a product, end of story. Because this is an organism, this is something that can evolve and change. You can mess with the DNA, you can push it this way or that way, you can induce it to do stuff. You can actually keep improving the phages to kill the acne bacteria better, to penetrate the phage more, to disrupt biofilms, blah, blah, blah. And so we've actually discovered a number of these sort of ways to do that. We've actually done it already, and we put the innovation in the bottle. So we don't always announce, oh, we did something new and amazing. We're just like, yeah, I mean, this will just work better for more people, or it'll work faster. You'll see results in 30 days instead of 60 days. So that innovation that flywheel is going on. We're trying to tackle some, mechanistic considerations. For example, how do we get phage into the pore, right? Because once you get it in contact with the bacteria, it's going to be more effective. If it doesn't get in contact with bacteria, it'll just sit on your skin and not do anything. And then finally, we're working on other projects. So we have an eczema project that's really exciting. We were actually in touch with the NIH, because the NIH supported our research when we first started for acne. And so they're really interested in this as well. And so it's still preliminary, but we want to work with them and get a grant approved. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the kitchen.
That's amazing, man. That's like really exciting. I'm excited to see what's going to happen and get more of that what is it? Benzoyl peroxide?
Yeah, benzoyl peroxide.
Yeah, get
And
that
by the
off.
way,
I want to get that off the shelves, and I want Phyla to be the new normal, and benzoyl peroxide doesn't even exist anymore.
yeah, and by the way, I wanted to mention this. I don't know if people heard about it widely, but this kind of set minor shockwaves through the acne industry a few months ago, where this testing company tested a bunch of products off the shelf that contain benzoyl peroxide, and found that they contain unacceptably high levels of benzene. Now, I have a background in chemistry. I used to be in the lab a lot. And benzene is something you do not mess with. It is highly carcinogenic. It is very, very potently cancer causing, right? And the amount of benzene in the products off the shelf was 10 to hundreds of times in excess of the allowable limit. Further, if you leave your product in a hot car, or it's in a shower, you take hot showers, the decomposition accelerates and you get a lot more benzene in those products. So it was something that was really, really alarming. And I was like, man, as if benzoyl peroxide wasn't bad enough for your skin, now it produces benzene, and now you got to worry about other stuff. So always got to watch out for that.
Yeah, let's just add that to the list of symptoms at the bottom, right? May cause cancer.
May cause cancer. Geez,
Yeah.
Your acne product may cause cancer.
Yeah. Don't worry though, it's worth it. I want to wrap things up, but just anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
No. I mean, one question people ask is any sort of tips for your skin. We talked about how the sebum, the oil, is food for your bacteria, and so a lot of people think, oh, I'll just dry out my skin, I'll take the food away. That might work. It works for some people, But the problem is your skin produces oil for a reason, right? And with your work, you work with holistic healing and how to work with the body's natural processes. It's really important not to interrupt these natural processes. And so if you dry out your skin too much, um, you will suffer the consequences, right? And the consequences will be obviously chronically dry skin, but transepidermal water loss. So your skin will be has less moisture and causes premature aging, fine lines and wrinkles, stuff like that. And so I would say don't dry out your skin. There are better ways to deal with your acne.
Yeah, I agree. Good advice. And it's just so much. I mean, after talking with you for almost an hour, it's just it's so simple. Just grab some Phyla and move on with your life. It's so simple. It's easy, right?
Yep.
Dr. Varma, where can people just connect with you and the team at Phyla and just learn more about everything that you guys are doing, either on social media or the website? Yeah, where can they connect with you guys and learn more?
Yeah, so we are Phyla, Phyla. Our website is phylabiotics.com. There you can find, of course, our products, but also the science, the clinical trial we ran, and a lot more about, really what causes acne. So there's a lot of myths around it. We try to do some myth busting there as well. On the socials, we're at Biotics on Twitter, which is now X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the socials. And you can find us there for more information about our products, more information about our science, and we of course always love to hear about people. And as a scientist and an educator and a science communicator, I love to hear from people who may or may not use our products but have questions about acne, because I can help them clarify that.
Yeah, amazing. Dr. Varma from Phyla, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you for being on the show.
Thanks, Joel. Really appreciate it.